In this video, I'm going to be testing out Wayne Goss's latest concealer hack, and it's a bit of an odd one. We'll apply it on camera, then we'll do an all-day wear test, and we'll come back at the end of the day and see how it's fared. Hello and welcome, or welcome back. So when I saw this makeup hack on Wayne Goss's channel, I was really taken aback because it looked so weird. Because it involves dipping your concealer into your powder. Yes, honestly. It seems that Wayne saw someone else do this, he doesn't say who, and decided to give it a go himself. Now in Wayne's video, he used a Born This Way loose powder and the Natasha Denona High Glam concealer. Now I don't have the powder, and actually I don't have the concealer either, although I used to have it. But unfortunately, although I really loved it and I know he's a big fan of it, it contains fragrance. And for those of you who are new to my channel, I'm allergic to fragrance. I get really bad seborrheic dermatitis from any product containing fragrance, so I can't use it. But we've got the Wet n Wild Photofocus even loose powder, and we'll also be using the NYX HD concealer, this one right here. Now all the products I talk about in the video, all the products I use, will be listed and linked in the description box below. Now I've already applied foundation, or rather in this case skin tint, and I've used the Rare Beauty skin tint, this one here, which I reviewed in my skin tints video, which I'll also link down below for you. And I think it's a really lovely skin tint to use, particularly in the summer. It's lovely and light. My skin's been a little bit odd of late. It's been a bit dry, especially here. It might have something to do with the tretinoin. I might suddenly be reacting to it. But actually today it's played ball. I've put moisturiser on under my SPF, which I don't usually do. But I think that's helped. And I've also applied my brow pencil, and I'm using the Hourglass Arch Eyebrow Pencil in blonde, I think, which doesn't really look like blonde. But at the moment, because my hair's lighter, I'm trying not to do a heavy brow, and this was about as light as I felt I could go. Now let's crack on with the concealer hack. Slightly nervous, but let's give it a go. So here we go. Powder, concealer, concealer, powder. And what we do is we dip the concealer doe foot into the powder. Now Wayne says not to tap it off, although later on he does say that the older your skin is, or the more mature it is, probably you don't need quite as much powder. So I think just for safety's sake, we're just going to do one little tap like that. So here we are, the doe foot now has powder on it. I hope that's showing up. And now we're going to apply it under the eye. Arg. Okay. I probably won't talk to you while I do this in case I crease my eyes and I screw the whole thing up. You can see a bit of powder's already fallen off. Okay, I think that's about as far. Maybe he goes a little bit further like that. Then he dips the doe foot in again, so we're going to have to do that again. So let me do that for the other eye. Tap a tiny bit off, and here we go. It's quite tricky to see whether we've got any powder at all under here. We've got a tiny bit here. In fact, let me zoom you in. That's better. So this is where we are at the moment. Right, the next thing we're going to do is use a rectangular sponge, and I bought these sponges specially. Now he doesn't say to moisten the sponge at all, so I've only slightly moistened this one. And what we've got to do now is pat and press all over the eye, so not just under the eye but also on the lid. So that's what we're going to do. Oh gosh, what is this going to look like? There's not much movement under there, is there? Seems to be quite dry. Not sure I like the look of this. To be honest, I didn't choose the best colour in the world. It's probably a bit too dark, this concealer, but never mind. See, it's all caked up inside here, hasn't it? Let's try the other side. This is not working very well at all. Right, take two. That was a bit of a disaster. So we're going to try a different concealer, and we're going to try this concealer, the IRL Filter Finish by Revolution. Let's hope we have better luck. This is a slightly thicker or angled doe foot. So I'm just going to leave exactly the amount of concealer on the doe foot. And maybe we won't tap off the powder quite as much. I mean, he didn't tap off the powder at all in his video. Wayne didn't. So he says you're just supposed to pick up what powder is on there. So literally a tiny bit fell off. You probably saw that. And this is what we've got. So let's see if we have better luck in take 2. So there's a lot more powder on this time. Okay, right, let's get the sponge before it dries too much. And we're going to do what we did last time. See what happens. Yeah, I don't know. It's still caking up in the place where I first put the doe foot, here and here. But let's see if we can even it out a bit. Actually, this eye's not looking too bad. This one doesn't look great though, does it? We have patted and pressed, as instructed by Wayne. And then I think he takes his fingers. So maybe this is where we'll get that crease in the corner and of this eye to look smoother. It's interesting, isn't it? The rest of the eye, the rest of the under eye looks fine. It's just this corner here, and actually this one as well. I think this concealer's definitely worked better, hasn't it? Just tidy this up a bit. It's that tiny corner here, just not behaving itself. Do you know what? I think I'm going to leave the corners as they are, because the next stage is we have to get the sponge and dip it in the powder and just finish off by patting the under eye with some more powder. And that's supposed to seal in the concealer. So just a very tiny bit. I'll just pat off the excess here. Oh yeah, there's quite a lot of excess there, isn't there? Right, let's just do this now. Oops. That's quite a lot there, isn't it? Actually, that's not too bad. Well, it hasn't gone on terribly easily, has it? But what I think I'll do is I'll get a cotton bud and just see if I can tidy up those 2 little bits. It's just these 2 little bits here in the corner. Something's coagulated a little bit here, hasn't it? So let's see if I can tidy that up. I'm just using a dry cotton bud because I'm hoping to sort of dislodge it to smooth it out. Bit of a McGiller, isn't it? Anyway, I think we've done the best we can with the concealer hack. So let's carry on with the rest of the makeup. Now, one of my lovely subscribers asked if I'd do a tutorial on the makeup look I did for my faves and fails, which I'll link down below for you. So that's what we'll do for the rest of the makeup. And then when we've done that, I will come back later for an all-day wear test. At the moment, it's actually not looking that bad. It just seemed to be a bit of a hoo-ha to try and get it to this stage. But it'll be really interesting to see how it wears, because it does feel quite velvety, as Wayne said it would in his video. So let's see. Now, like I said, I've got my base on, which is the Rare Beauty Skin Tint. And what I'm going to use for blusher is this e.l.f. liquid blush, Camo liquid blush, I think it's called. I'm just going to put some little dots here. I'm going to come down a bit because I'm quite liking this sort of, see, it's another Wayne Goss thing. He called it the boyfriend blush. I don't really know why it's the boyfriend blush, because we all, I think, blush in the same way, but hey ho. And then I'm going to get this brush, which is a ridiculously expensive one, I know. Actually, I may have gone a bit overboard here, but we'll shear it out in a minute with a sponge. But I do find the original application of liquid and cream blush to be so much easier with this flat brush, because it's sort of like painting it on. Right, now I know that looks absurd, but don't worry, we are going to shear it out now. Right, well, let me shear that out. Now we're going to apply bronzer, and I'm going to use this Westman Atelier bronzer in Biscuit, and I'm going to get my brush again and apply it from the brush and just paint it on like that. Do a bit on the end of the nose, a bit on the forehead, a little bit under the chin, and then we'll shear it out again with the sponge. Just get a bit of colour there. I think one of the reasons that the look I did in my faves and fails I'm trying to recreate here is because I've lightened my hair and it's summertime and I've just gone lighter with my makeup, so I am kind of liking it. Whether I'll like it in the autumn and winter, I don't know, and that remains to be seen, but at the moment I am enjoying this kind of light makeup look. And then we're also going to add a little bit of highlight. This is the Merit, and just put it here, just a little bit, to give a bit of an extra glow. I can see that I'm a bit glowy here already, which is not ideal, but we can sort that out in a minute. Just gives a little bit of an extra glow, doesn't it? I really like that. I'm a recent convert to highlighter, actually. I wasn't sold on it really before, but now I'm really enjoying it. Right, let's go in with eyes now. And I'm going to be using the YSL Mini Clutch, and I have it in the shade 400, and it's a beautiful rosy palette with just 4 colours in it. And I'm just going to be using these bottom 2. So I'm first going to go in with this shade here, which is a kind of a terracotta, I think you would call this, wouldn't you? A lot of fallout there, but that's okay. And I'm going to use this as a kind of all over the lid and up into the crease shade. So it's nothing fancy. It's kind of a 2 and done, if you know what I mean. See, it actually looks quite rosy on my lids, doesn't it? It doesn't look quite as terracotta-ish as it does in the palette. And this is a very inexpensive Real Techniques brush, which I absolutely love. It's fluffy, but it's also domed, which I like. So it kind of serves a lot of purposes. Let's just add a little bit more. Just pat that on. I think partly why I like it is because it is quite pliable. It's not stiff in any way. And given my eyelids are like elephant hides, they're so crepey, I feel like it's getting into all the crevices. Yes, I think that gives a nice base. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to go in with this colour here, and I'm going to use my fingers because I find that doing powder shadows on my actual lid with my finger is much easier than doing it with a brush, because you're not moving your lid around. It's easier to keep your lid kind of straight, as it were, than trying to shove it around with a brush. Anyway, that's my theory. That is a beautiful colour, isn't it? It's got that nice shimmer, but it's not overly shimmery. I always have to be careful here because I'm so crepey at the sides that the eyeshadow seems to want to travel down the side of my eye, which is not what we want. Actually, now I'm looking at this, I have a feeling that I didn't use this strong colour all over my lid. So what we'll do is we'll lighten it a bit with this colour here, which is another shimmery shade, but just to make it not look quite as dark, because it's looking a little bit dark for the daytime, I think. Yeah, that's better. Excuse the fallout, I will sort that out in a minute. Right, let's go in with mascara next, and I'm going to be using the Eldridge Kitten Lash Mascara. Now, I'm not going to use a lash primer, which I have been doing a lot lately because I've just had my lashes lifted, so I don't think I need it really. And also, this is a soft daytime look, so I don't think we need to go too va-va-voom. Right, mascara's done, and now let's do lips. Now in the look I'm recreating, I actually used Lisa Eldridge's Sculpt and Shape pencil in 2C, but I can't for the life of me put my hands on it right now. So I'm going to use 1N, which is actually quite similar. So let's line our lips. It's quite brown, this one. And I quite like that for the summer. There we are. And then I used Lisa Eldridge's Baume in the shade Epanoui. Now it does have a really strong vanilla scent, this, but it doesn't actually contain any vanilla, so I don't really understand why they do that, but it is a bit odd, and I know it put off some of my lovely subscribers. So, and they actually complained to Lisa Eldridge and they apologised, which I think was right because it is a bit of a weird one. And actually I am allergic to vanilla on my skin. And I must admit, I didn't notice the scent at first, but I did check the ingredients as I always do. And Lisa Eldridge never has, as far as I'm aware, any fragrance in any of their products, but it does have a strong vanilla smell. So if you don't like vanilla, I would definitely not purchase this. But if you can bear it, it is a really nice My Lips But Better look, I think. Right, as I'm looking just a tad shiny down my T-zone, I'm just going to powder down with my Hourglass powder. And actually the concealer's not looking too bad at all. So I'm quite pleased about that, because it was a bit of an effort, wasn't it? Right, it is 9:30. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go out in natural light and show you how the concealer's looking, and then we'll come back at about 6 o'clock this evening and we'll see how it's worn. See you in a bit. Well, here we are at the 8-hour check-in, and let me tell you my thoughts. I don't think this technique works very well on me, and it certainly hasn't worked very well on this eye. So let me zoom you in. Now, I don't know if you can see, but there's been a lot of collection, as it were, under here. It's looking very cakey and quite unattractive. Now, it has to be said, this eye doesn't look as bad. It hasn't really caked, maybe a tiny bit here, but otherwise it's not too bad. But really, do we want to go to all that effort and that slightly weird method to achieve this? Not sure about that. So there you have it. That was Wayne Goss's, or maybe not Wayne Goss's, but something that Wayne Goss decided to try, concealer hack. Now, when he did it, it looked great, but I'm afraid that's not the case for me. So I'd say it's a bit of a fail. In fact, it's a lot of a fail, really, because it's an awful faff, when really all we want to do is put our concealer on, maybe pat it with our fingers and a sponge and be done with it. Anyway, let me know in the comments if you're going to give it a go. I suppose it's a bit like the Aquaphor. It's a little bit hit and miss. On some people it may work, on other people, like me, it certainly didn't. So I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, I'd be so grateful if you'd subscribe to my channel. I'm just a teeny tiny I'm just a teeny tiny channel trying to grow, and it would mean the world to me if you would like my video, subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell. And if you'd like to hear more from me, I have a monthly newsletter, and the link to subscribe to that will be in the description box below. And in that, I don't just talk about beauty, fashion and lifestyle, but I also talk about music, books, podcasts, film, TV, and all the other bits and bobs that bring us joy. And thank you so much for watching. It means the absolute world to me that you take some time out of your day to spend it with me. And I hope you're all doing really well, and I look forward to seeing you on my next video. Bye!